Ladies and gentlemen,
the biggest name.
You're locked into JJ and Alex with the insight and analysis on the teams you can't live without. Presented by G2G Bars. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Covering the Utes better than anyone else. This is Ute Insider Steve Bartle of KSLSports.com on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Yes, you heard the voice. Steve Bartle, our Utah insider for KSLSports.com, going to be joining us here in just a moment here. Bit of business. We are here at the Studio A at Broadcast House to honor the Player of the Week Award recipients this year in Northern Utah, brought to you by Hercules First Federal Credit Union. Our show is brought to you by G2G Bars, as always. All natural ingredients and no preservatives make the G2G Bar the perfect protein bar. Let's kick things off here with the cut at the top of the hour with our Utah insider, Steve Bartle. Let's do it.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
And, of course, this portion of the show brought to you by Trajan Wealth, Trajan Wealth, for all of your trusted local needs in retirement. It is Trajan Wealth. JJ, let's jump on with our guy Steve Bartle. Steve, what's up, man? Thanks for being a part of the program today.
What's up, fellas? How we doing?
Good. I think about it and I go, hey, all this attention being paid to Utah and or to BYU and Utah State going to the tournament, of course. Nice to be able to steal some of that limelight to make your biggest hire that you maybe have ever made, or at least made in the last decade for this Utah basketball team with Alex Jensen.
I think that's exactly why Utah had to make it, is that they haven't been in the NCAA tournament, right? And so, yeah, I think that was a big motivating factor for Utah in this whole process, was landing someone that they believe can lead them into the future and lead them to, the success that they used to enjoy on a yearly basis and going to the NCAA tournament. And that was Alex Jensen's entire playing career. You go back, you look, went to the NCAA tournament each and every year. They got out of the first round. They went to the national championship. And I think Utah, it's not just this, it's not just a hire for nostalgia's sake. It is, a hire that leans into the past and all that sort of stuff. But, as I've talked to people about Alex Jensen and talked to people in the market and out of the market, he's really turned into a really, really good coach. And so now he's in a new position, and, it'll be interesting to see how he transitions to the role of head coach at the collegiate level. But this is a hire that Utah fans should feel pretty optimistic about in terms of getting this program turned around and playing at a level that will get them into the NCAA tournament conversation on a pretty consistent basis.
We'd known about the hire for a while, but yesterday was a chance for Utah to celebrate this hire, and it means a lot to them. You could tell by the production they put on yesterday. What did you learn from that presser about Alex Jensen? That something that either stood out to you or maybe you didn't know or thought about before yesterday's introduction?
Yeah, just how genuine he is, right? I think that's what stood out is, his press conference, he wasn't anything other than himself, and that is his entire focus. And whenever we asked him questions about what he wanted his program to be, he always brought it back to the relationships, and I think that is something that Utah basketball desperately needs, is to improve relationships in a number of different ways. Primarily the fan base and the crowd that shows up on a nightly basis. It's important to strengthen those relationships between the program and the fan base, with the supporters and boosters and those that provide the resources that Utah needs. Those relationships have been key in this whole process, really. And now that he's in place and at the helm, those relationships are going to continue to help Alex as he moves forward. And then, another big thing is the alumni and former players for various reasons, those relationships have fallen by the wayside over the last few years and haven't been nurtured in the way that Utah probably needs to nurture them. And I think with Alex coming in, that those relationships those connections are reestablished instantly. And now it's an opportunity for Utah to kind of reset and nurture those relationships moving forward and incorporate more of those former players and have them involved in the program and have them simply around the program more often. I think that's big. So, for me, that was the big takeaway, was just his emphasis on, the relationships that got him to where he is, how important they are and what he's going to do and how meaningful they can be in the big picture of this whole thing.
Steve, one of the things that I think that we've all, looked at and seen over the years is Alex Jensen's name come up, not just for this job, but for a multitude of jobs, and the experience, of course, that's piled up at the NBA level. That means something more in 2025 at the collegiate level. Why is it now that these NBA coaches can make this transition to the college game and have it be the type of thing that does translate to what they learned in the NBA to what they can do at the collegiate level?
Yeah, Alex, I think hit that, last night. He said that the college game is turning more professional, with NIL and how that's kind of changed the game. It's turned, recruiting into more contract negotiation. And, he still emphasized the importance of relationships and genuinely recruiting players to your program. But in a lot of ways, it has become more of a professional model outside of, the arena and what goes on the floor. And I think that is something that not just Alex, but across the country, you've seen more and more NBA coaches, whether they be assistants. I don't know if there were any head coaches actually, but you've seen a number of NBA assistants involved in coaching searches. Florida State hired a Sacramento assistant. And so you're just seeing more and more of it because I think, universities are looking for coaches that come from those ranks, given the way that this is transforming into more of a professional model. And with Alex coming in, there is, I'm sure you guys will ask about this, but, you've seen kind of the coaching staffs evolve for both Utah and basketball, where now you've got a general manager that handles, a lot of the personnel decisions and contract decisions. And so that's going to be important as well for Utah to address moving forward. But I just think the game has evolved to a point now where it makes it more doable for, these NBA assistants to find work as a head coach at the collegiate level.
To play with the big boys in college basketball, you need to have a booster that writes big checks. And there's been a feeling that Utah doesn't have that. I'm not so sure about that. Do you think the hiring of Alex Jensen may open up some doors that were previously shut to previous coaches or staff before, that could open up now with Alex taking this job? Could this help them in that realm?
It will help them. Yeah, it will help them. It instantly opens checkbooks from a number of boosters that have either contributed, over the last few years and may look to increase their donations. That may also and will likely lead to others that have not contributed, that are significant donors and boosters that will now contribute to basketball. So, I expect this to have a significant impact in terms of the resources around the program. Utah didn't have a very strong NIL number this past season. It hovered right around 2 million. And when you look at the Big 12, these aren't reported numbers, but there are places where you can find, numbers and certain educated guesses, we'll call them, in terms of what these programs have with NIL and the resources around them. And Utah was at the bottom of the Big 12 in that regard, and you look in terms of the rest of the Big 12, you're looking at $4 or $5 million, or right around the middle of the league, and upwards of 6, 7, and Kansas and BYU up there flirting with double digits in terms of the NIL resources around them. So I expect Utah to jump to the middle of the pack at the very least with what I've heard, and I think there's a reasonable chance that they can triple and even quadruple the amount of resources that they have for the program compared to what they had this past season.
When it comes to that and the money part of it, and we were just looking at yesterday the NCAA officially said that they are going to drop the rule that players can't negotiate NIL deals before they commit to a certain school, as if that was stopping them before, right? But now officially the NCAA, shocker, has had to say, we can't limit guys in that sense, and so they're not going to do it. How big of a deal is it going to be that they start making those announcements of, hey, we got this recruit coming into Utah, we got this recruit, because that matters. You want your fan base to buy in along the way as well.
Yeah, recruiting is so important for your program, not just in the sense that you need talented players to have success, but, fans are genuinely excited about the future and get excited about the recruits coming into the program. That's something that I've learned, and, it's how I've come up in the media ranks and in the industry and working with 24/7 Sports is there's a great interest in, who Utah and other programs are recruiting and kind of the competition for those and what it means for the program. And I think, to have that and to, make that something for Utah basketball to be more competitive in that realm is something that I think a lot of fans are hopeful for, still to be determined exactly what Alex Jensen and his recruiting footprint and point of emphasis is going to be. But I think Utah will be equipped with the resources that they'll need to be more competitive in that regard and to generate more excitement for the future of the program in that world.
While the men's basketball team has struggled of late, the women's basketball team has been on a great 4-year run, 4 straight NCAA tournament appearances. They're back again this year, playing Indiana in the first round in South Carolina. What's the state of that program right now? Obviously, they went through a transition with a new coach and a new situation and different players this year, losing a player to the WNBA. How strong is that program moving forward?
Yeah, I think it's actually in pretty good shape. Considering the surprising move of Lynn Roberts accepting the job after 3 games into the season, going to the LA Sparks, and Alyssa Peely moving on to the WNBA as a top draft pick, and yet Utah, moving forward with Gavin Peterson at the helm, in his first year to keep this train on the tracks. That's something that fans shouldn't take for granted. It could have been very easy for this Utah team to kind of come apart at the seams without Lynn Roberts leading the way. But I think Utah, with Gavin Peterson, he did a good job of keeping this group together, and the group deserves a lot of credit for staying bought in, for staying focused on what matters, and that's their own success as a team and as individuals. And I think to punch their ticket to the NCAA tournament for the 4th straight season is a significant accomplishment. And when you look at the future of the program, we're all waiting on Gianna Neemkins to make a decision on her future. She has another year where she can come back and potentially lead Utah. She could also enter the portal or declare for the WNBA draft. But I think there's reason to be optimistic that she'll be back on the Hill and leading the women's program again next year. And then, they do move on from a handful of seniors, but they've got a really exciting recruiting class coming in with, I think it's 2 players in the top 40 with L.A. Sneed and Avery Heimstad, who are just big-time talents. These are big recruiting wins for Utah to hang on to them after the coaching change. L.A. Snead, she's a 5-star prospect. Avery is a 4-star prospect. They add tremendous scoring punch from all over the floor. And then they have another promising prospect in Ella Todd. So, they've recruited really well over the last few years. They're going to have to go into the transfer portal to address their need for size. But that program is trending in the right direction, and Gavin Peterson has them going, still on the right track going into the NCAA tournament.
Steve Bartle, he's our Utah Utes insider for KSLSports.com. You can read his byline right there at KSLSports.com and follow him on Twitter or X or however you get your social media, because he's the good follow to have to be able to catch up on anything Utah-wise. And you can go right now to KSLSports.com and see all of the different bylines that he's been attacking all of these subjects with. So, Steve, we appreciate it, man, and thanks again, and we'll chat with you next week, man.
Hey, sounds good, fellas. Thank you.
Thanks, there you go. Steve Bartle. If you're a Utah fan, you got to feel excited about it. I mean, it's massive to be able to get the guy you were looking for and that you wanted all in one. It's a slam dunk. You knew it was going to be a massive hire for him, and you're just glad they got him. And look, Alex Jensen brought it up in the presser yesterday too, where it was like, every time there's been kind of a transition in my career, kind of a weird moment, which – the Dallas situation is definitely
Jazz
weird.
Situation?
The Jazz, and then I mean, the Mavericks are another. I mean, it's just what a wild situation they're in. For him to be able to walk away from that and go, cool, I'm going to come over here.
See ya.
It's not even like I guess we'll hire him. It's like it's exactly what Utah wanted.
Yeah.
On top of the fact that in Dallas, who knows what the future would have been for him there.
Timing was perfect,
and the timing worked out. So it works. And anyway, yeah, good for them. And you just want to see the Huntsman Center filled up again. You want to see Sweet 16 trips. You want to be able to have the biggest programs here in the state of Utah get into the NCAA tournament, and every fan base being able to watch all their teams get there.
For those of us who remember what that was like, we've all been wondering when it was going to come back.
Mm-hmm.
And then year after year after year, it didn't.
Yep.
And now there's hope that it can.
See it turn around. All right, we'll come back. We've got more to go right around the corner. Stay here with us, and we'll get you dialed up for some hockey news, of course, also around the corner. Everybody wants to know, what's this mascot going to be? Well, have we tipped our hand? Has the hockey club tipped their hand a little bit by virtue of us being able to dip in on public records and find out some of the trademarks that have been established? Let's jump in next. We'll talk some hockey. We'll get you ready for the Utah Hockey Club versus the Edmonton Oilers coming up at 6 o'clock. You're going to get your pregame right here on your radio home of the Utah Hockey Club at 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone. More to go. Stay with us, 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Your home for the best coverage of the Jazz, Utes, and Cougars is right here on The Zone. This is JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Oh, this is good tunes, man. So I want to say Sublime. This is Sublime, yeah?
Yes.
This is 1998, like in my truck in high school. That's what this feels like. I'm glad we
It's crazy the lead singer passed away at such an early age, and we never got to see 5 or 6 Sublime albums.
It's crazy that a rock and roll / pop star died at an early age. Is that what you said?
That's not the surprise. It's just a shame is all. If you're a fan of the band, it feels like they were just – that was a great era of, rock music. They had that little ska punk sound. They were kind of the leaders of that SoCal movement. And,
was he 27, like everybody else who died at an early age? Remember that whole documentary?
He was 38. No, sorry, he was 28.
28.
Yeah.
Oh, right there. He wasn't part of that documentary. The Amy Winehouse, Kurt Cobain.
No,
Janis
maybe he
Joplin,
should have been.
Jimi Hendrix.
His story is just as tragic.
Everybody who died at 27 years old. He was 28, so he's out. Okay. All right. So there you go.
He was known for his love of surfing, eating, drugs, and his dog Louie.
Well, those are what all his songs are about. Happen to be. So there you go.
Don't do drugs, kids.
Welcome back,
Don't do
everybody.
drugs.
Welcome back. Yes, live past the age of 28. Let's go. Let me see here, JJ. of course, you can fire up your own brackets. We have the first four are firing up tonight, but that doesn't mean you can't join our bracket challenge. You don't have to get it all in until Thursday morning. And so all you have to do is go to KSLSports.com, and we want to hook you up with some dollars, okay? If you sign up right now, go to KSLSports.com/contest. You can go to the KSLSports.com and just check right there on the front page, the KSL Sports Basketball Mayhem. Fill out that bracket. $1 million for a perfect one, okay? More likely is winning $1,000 for winning the bracket of all the people who are entering. Or you can also beat just Jeremiah Jensen, and you could be entered to win the $500 right there as well. So if you beat JJ, you get entered to win the $500, and then it's all powered by Omada Real Estate. Download the free Omada Real Estate app today from the real estate experts at the Stern Team. So there you go. JJ, I've got some tickets to give away as well. It's that time of the day for us to be able to give out some Jazz tickets on a Jazz Ticket Tuesday. 801-575-ZONE is the number. You can win tickets to the Jazz and the Celtics coming up on Friday at Delta Center. The world champion Celtics coming into town, and we'll be able to see how this Jazz team fares against them on their journey to, what was the term? To try to get Cooper flag? Capture the flag. We'll go with
Poop for Coop.
Oh, I wasn't going to go there. But
I'll say it.
Capture the flag. That's what I was going to
Capture the flag.
Capture the
just
flag.
Sounds a little cheesy.
I know.
Poop for Coop's a little bit more correct on what we've seen.
Some of the playing.
The better descriptor of what's going on.
801-575-ZONE for that pair of tickets to the Jazz and the Celtics on Friday at Delta Center. All right. Speaking of Delta Center, what are we going to be seeing up in the rafters or walking around? Is the Jazz Bear going to morph into a Jazz Mammoth? Well, the back and forth about the naming of the mascot or the naming of the team name for this Utah Hockey Club, the same group, the same firm that originally filed for names related to the Utah Hockey Club has now apparently, according to a public access to the Patent and Trademark Office for Utah or for the United States, Mammoth has been extended and granted the extension of a U.S. patent and trademark for Mammoth. So are we just going to walk this thing up and have it be the worst kept secret ever? Is that what's going on here?
I wouldn't look too much into this. Cole Bagley wrote about it on KSLSports.com. He explains that what's significant about the extension for Mammoth is that only a blank Utah Hockey Club name has received the same extension. Meanwhile, Outlaws will not require an extension until April. So if they don't extend Outlaws by April,
then we know.
Then you probably have a better clue. But it is significant that they made that extension with Mammoth because that means they're serious about that name. Because they had to get it done, and they did. Otherwise, they would have let it die.
And they said that the logos aren't going to be, they're not the done logos. I think we had asked about that, and somebody said, yeah, I think they are. But then I think we went back, and somebody said, no, they could still make some adjustments to the logo.
I don't think they have to do anything yet.
Yeah.
There's probably a deadline for this to get everything done branding-wise for the next NHL season, but they haven't reached that yet, and so I think there's time for them to make adjustments. And we've seen some great mock-ups out there people put together. My favorite is the Mammoth side view with the mountains on the back.
See,
of the
I
head.
like the Mammoth.
I like tying the mountains into the Mammoth and the cool Utah Hockey Club colors.
I like the one that I liked was the Mammoth, and it's anatomically it doesn't work, but he's got hands and he's holding a hockey stick. I love that one. That one looks cool.
That would have been cool in 1988.
Why? That's cool.
Because
listen,
mascots back in the 80s used to be cartoonish.
Well, that's what. Listen, the Mammoth isn't a real. Okay, so you want to just have the
Mammoth
blue
isn't
background.
Real.
Well, I know it's not real, but I'm just saying.
Science lesson here.
I want the guy. I want a mammoth with hands holding the hockey stick. That's what I want. I want him to have hands.
Oh.
Give him hands and give him the gloves on there. Because and what was somebody even hashtag tusks up, and I was like, all right, well that I don't want.
You don't like that hashtag?
Tusks up, everybody.
What do you want him to do?
I don't know. Go tusk yourself.
Jeez. I don't think that'll work either.
No? Fine.
That seems a little rude.
But tusks up, first of all, it doesn't roll off the tongue, right? So I don't know. I don't know.
We'll figure all this out.
These are all things we need to figure out if this ends up being the team.
I mean, is everyone okay with the Mammoth? I've grown into it. I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I really was a fan of the Outlaws, and I want to see that Outlaws logo with Jason hockey
with the mask,
goaltender mask on, with the cowboy hat on.
I want it to open the door to cloning some Mammoth DNA.
I think someone's already way ahead of you.
I know, but I'm saying because
they're
that's
taking
apparently
woolly
that's
mice.
That's what I'm saying. That's the woolly mammoth.
Yeah,
because apparently the Utah mammoth was different than the woolly mammoth.
The Utah mammoth that you found here back in the day was not the woolly.
No. And by the way, they found it in Orem. Did you hear that?
They found one in Orem. They found one
in
what is it? North Sanpete County.
Okay.
So there's been multiple mammoth
chunks
discoveries here in Utah.
Okay.
It makes sense.
All right. We'll take the break here. We'll come back. I want to remind you, tomorrow we're going to be at RGS Exteriors out there chatting with Tim and his guys at the location there at RGS Exteriors from 3 to 6. Join us right there. We will be right back. More to go. Let's get you ready for Utah Hockey Club coming up next. Pregame coming up at 6 o'clock. Stay here, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Wrapping up the hour with our picks for the best and worst moments on today's show. As JJ and Alex want to hear your best and worst of the day.
All right, everybody, welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Final segment here before we get you ready for Utah Hockey Club pregame right here on your dial. Best and worst brought to you by the good folks at the Doug Smith family of dealerships, Dodge, Ram, Chevy, Subaru, Kia, and now welcoming Mitsubishi and American Fork as well. Best and worst. It's going to be the best and the worst all at once, JJ, and that is Tracy Morgan letting it all hang out last night at the
hazmat event at Madison Square Garden.
It was just such a cool thing to see Tracy Morgan vomiting, and then the guy from Sopranos walked by at the same time. I was like, we're in a totally weird world right now.
Didn't it feel like an episode of 30 Rock?
100%. I was like, this is fake.
Pretty sure it was.
Nope, it was real, but he's okay. It was just food poisoning, everybody.
Good. We can't lose Tracy Morgan.
Wink. All right.
It's a national treasure.
Final time we were able to chat with Haley from Hercules Credit Union. Haley, first of all, thanks for letting us be a part of this, and thanks for being a part of the Player of the Week Awards. We only have a moment here to chat with you, but give us the beats here of why Hercules and Credit Union does this type of event and why it means so much to be a part of it.
Yeah, we really care about our community, and we really care about these kids. I mean, they're the future for all of us, so we really need to make sure that, they can do what they need to do.
As a consumer, I care about a 4.25% interest rate on your
So
checking.
selfish.
So let me brag about that.
So
Hercules,
selfish.
if you want a 4.25% checking interest rate account,
Thank you.
that's insane.
JJ's
Go to
like-
Hercules. Nobody else can beat that.
JJ's like, whatever on the kids. Anyway.
I don't care about the kids. I care about the interest
Give me that rate.
I'm a bad person.
All right, Haley, thanks so much for you guys'
Thank
support.
you, guys.
And thanks for being a part of this today. And we're going to get to
Yeah.
this event right here in Studio A. So HerculesCU.com is the website. Go check it out for yourself, HerculesCU.com. The Utah Hockey Club firing up in just moments here. You're going to get the pregame right here. The Edmonton Oilers up in Edmonton. Can they defeat them and steal another couple of points and then get ahead? Stay here, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. It's right around the corner.